Hello, everybody.
Hi.
We are missing a couple hosts, but they should be joining shortly. Welcome to the Diversity is Lit book club discussion for our January pick, which was Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. Woot woot! You may be wondering why I'm talking. Our lovely host, HollyDavis, is sick, unfortunately, so she will not be on camera or talking via the mic, but she'll just be kind of joining along in the discussion in the chat, typing away. So feel free to converse in the chat as well. So we will just do some quick introductions. My name is Heather Venkat, also known as Write Heather Venkat on the interwebs, and I write middle grade and YA fantasy and contemporary story. And I like to read everything.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. Go by Vanessa Marie Books online on the internet. I'm a YA fantasy, paranormal, and horror writer, but I also love many different genres as well. And I'm excited to talk about this book, this pick.
Yay.
Right.
It looks like we are getting
Alicia, maybe.
Alicia. There you are.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
Hi.
No problem. Just in time. We have gone through introductions, so we are ready for you to introduce yourself.
Perfect. So I am writer Alicia Grumley. I am so excited to be here to talk about Skin of the Sea with our Diversity is Lit book club. I work on young adult fantasy. I work on poetry a lot, which is why I'm very excited for next month's pick, spoiler alert. And I am also a nonfiction writer of sorts and just a general writer, lover of words and books all around. And I'm so happy to be here with you all today.
Yay, we're happy you're here too. I'm sorry, I felt bad. I was like, oh, I didn't wear scrubs that are like blue or teal or whatever.
Do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I usually like to try to match the cover, but two disclaimers. One is we will be discussing spoilers throughout this discussion. A lot of times the spoilers will come up at the beginning just because that, it tends to happen. And then the other disclaimer is this book does have several trigger warnings. So those are listed in the little strip on the screen below. So if you potentially don't want to hear about any of those things, feel free to leave the chat. All right, so we can get started with the discussion. I really think that this is a very good one for us to discuss, and I feel bad because as you can see, I'm in the car, so it's hard for me to kind of look in the chat. So I want to be able to like talk about Holly's answers as well. So Holly, I don't know if you can always just like put that up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like Holly should just put it at the bottom of the screen so we can like put it up as the banner.
Yeah, just I can't see what you're saying, so I can't like actually comment on it. Okay, so the first thing that we always talk about is what are your general overall thoughts on the book?
Sorry to interrupt you, Heather. I just read Holly's comment. She said, can we read them for people with vision problems? So the trigger warnings are violence, enslavement, death, suicide, abuse, manipulation, and trickery.
Yes. And Holly, if you do put your thoughts in the banners, we will read those aloud too for anybody with vision problems.
Mm-hmm. So sorry about that.
Thank you. Sorry about that. All right. So does anyone want to jump in with their thoughts?
I want to know what Vanessa thinks because we are usually polar opposites.
I really want to know what you think.
Okay, let's start with, did you like it?
Yes, I did. But I have mixed feelings.
Okay. All right, so here's our first spoiler. There is going to be a sequel, which is not too much of a spoiler because the first chapter is in the back of Skin of the Sea, at least the copy I got. So it's not a huge spoiler, but there is a sequel. Are you going to read the sequel, Vanessa?
I think so, yeah. Probably.
Okay. So I enjoyed it and I will be reading it. I'm excited to hear what your mixed feelings are or what they're surrounding.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'll start then. I really enjoyed this. When I read this, I really liked a lot about this. I've always been a fan of mermaids. I love mermaids, so I was like, yes, anything to do with mermaids, I'm here for. And the story did pull me in from the beginning. It was interesting, right from the get-go, and there's a lot there. There are some characters that I loved, and I'm sad about what happened to them, which we'll talk about soon. Broke my heart. What happened to one of the characters? I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that later on. But now my mixed feelings with this comes in because I really liked it as I was reading it, but I don't know anything about African mythology and the Yoruba religion and the deities and orishas and all of that. And so I did come across a review on Goodreads by someone who is part of the
Community.
the community, the
Okay.
Yoruba community, that went into their thoughts and some of the complaints they had about what was done here. And if for anyone interested, I can put. Well, I don't know how to put it in the chat, but I can try to.
Or maybe link it. Could you link it to our page for later? Like our Goodreads page?
Yeah.
Regarding this book?
Yeah, I'll link it for that for later.
Yeah, and maybe send it to Holly if she wants to link it in the video for later. I don't know if that's possible, but maybe she can like just send it to her and then she can do that. But yeah, because I think that'd be interesting to read for like from that point of view of someone who is an Own Voices part of that community. So I think that would be interesting, at least for me. So if anybody else doesn't want it, send it to me.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting too. I always, want to see from an Own Voices perspective what people think of, a story that is representing their culture or community.
Right.
And so one of the things this reviewer pointed out was how the issue in here was made to be the villain, which kind of.
So, like the issue of, I mean, should we just dive into the spoilers of like the issue of slavery?
Not slavery. Maybe I'm not even pronouncing it right. Issue. ESU.
Yeah. Sorry, I misheard.
Yeah, in the audio book, they pronounced it issue, like ish.
Issue?
Like
issue?
With the SH.
Yeah,
but it's spelled
ESU, I think, right?
Yeah, but it's like SU.
Yeah,
Okay. So the reviewer was saying that they didn't like that Ishu was being made out to be the villain.
Right. Yeah, kind of. So, like, it was talking about how, and I have the review pulled up here, so I can read parts of it.
Okay, want to look for the parts you want to read while we find out Heather's opinion and if Holly wants to add comments about if they liked it.
Yeah,
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
so Holly said, I loved it, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The writing was strong. The flashbacks were weaved in well to make us feel for Simi. And Skin of the Sea proved that I guess I do love sea/mermaid stories. Haha.
Oh, because Holly you didn't think you liked mermaid stories, Holly. Is that what she's getting at there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's funny.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I gave it 4 out of 5, which rounded up to 5 on Goodreads. Mainly just because I felt like right away. So I listened to the audiobook, but
right.
Right away I was like engrossed in it. I felt like it kind of was like slower, like until like the halfway point, which frequently happens in stories. But it's like I felt like it was slow in a few spots. But then that wasn't really an issue, especially towards the end. But I liked I liked the story, the plot, the characters, everything there. I listening to the audiobook was a little bit tough because the pronunciation of the words, it was really hard for me to picture how was it spelled, and I had to later, like cola, I thought it was like
COLA, probably.
EOLA, yes.
Yeah.
And then like the like Ludmer and like the other words, like I had to kind of look it up because I was like, especially when they when she was like yeah, I guess it was just the pronunciations and things like that, which obviously isn't an issue. I'm just like mentioning.
Right,
but I liked the fact that it had that like authenticity to it in terms of oh, Barrett's here. Hi, Barrett.
Hi, Barrett. Welcome to our conversation. Let us know in the comments. Listening, so you may be quiet. Okay, but if you have a chance, let us know if you liked the story. That's kind of where we're at right now. We're just kind of going through general rating, if we liked it. Heather gave it a 4. Holly gave it a 5. Vanessa, what did you give it?
I don't remember if I gave it a rate. I think I gave it a 4. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at a 4 as well. So that makes sense to me. So go ahead, Heather. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no. I mean, those are the major things. I guess I liked that the romance was not like in your like overtaking the storyline. I liked that it was a little bit more in the background because I felt like it would have kind of distracted. I don't know.
Distracted Simi from the purpose almost.
Right. Yeah. And she was, well, we can get into the characters, but I felt like she was not that kind of character to just be like, just lose herself just because she's like fallen, head over heels in love, kind of like, one of those bad tropes kind of things. I
was to say, but we do also have to give like the credit for that. Like, she does not think that she like can even possibly let herself love him, right? Because like, spoiler alert, like here's one of them. Like, if Simi and like acts upon her love for a human, she turns to sea foam. Like, she is no more. At least at the end of the first book, that's how things stand. So she is not allowed by the rules that bind her as and Heather, maybe correct me on my pronunciation, Mami Wata, is that how they were pronouncing it? Yeah. Okay. So as a Mami Wata, aka mermaid, the rules that bind her say that she cannot act upon her love for a human. So yeah, it's Holly. That's what drew Holly in, that Simi and Cola both wanted what they could not have.
Yeah, I like that push and pull, like that they were kind of at odds with like, their, what their goal was, and the fact that like, we didn't really know all of her past, and so there was kind of that like mystery piece to it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The cover is gorgeous as well.
I agree. Also, I just realized that my blanket that's sitting right next to me has sharks on it and mermaid scales. It was made for me by a friend, so it's the perfect blanket for this conversation.
Awesome. Wait, so I give it a 4.
So a 4, okay.
I said, why did you give it?
Oh, why did I give it a 4? Sorry, yeah, because you said it rounded up for you. So for me, I gave it a 4. Okay, because it wasn't a 5 for me, and I can elaborate on that a little bit. I was like, that's not enough of a reason, but for me, the 5s are the books that I like. I mean, my last 5 read was Firekeeper's Daughter, so a couple months back. It's those books that make me put in that moment of tension of savor versus devour, right? I want to savor it because it feels so real and good, and like I haven't been sucked that into a story, but I want to devour it because it's so real and good. I want to know what happens next. So like Holly said, like I liked the characters. I thought the writing was strong. I thought some of the visual imagery was beautiful. Teresa, we can't wait to see you when you can get here. She just says that she's having some technical difficulties and she's joining here in the comments. So Teresa, let us know what you rated it, how you liked it. That's just kind of what we're at. So I'm just kind of saying why I gave it a 4 right now. So it's not that it wasn't engaging for me, because I did feel Holly, I get what you're saying about it being a 4 versus a 5. Because it was a very solid story. I'm definitely interested in the sequel, because I have some predictions that I want to see come true. But it didn't like consume my every waking moment, which some books do. So
makes sense.
That makes sense, and I think I'm with you on that. Oh, we agree on something.
Yay!
Vanessa, I hope I love having these conversations with you, because it's just like I feel like it's such a respectful conversation, and it's never I never feel belittled by your opinion, and I hope you never feel belittled about mine. But I do love the kind of running joke that we are on this like opposite ends of the spectrum.
I think we found a book where we're both on the same.
Yeah. I feel like we're a really good balance for each other's opinions.
Yeah. So I do have that section of the review I can read off.
Great.
So the reviewer said the story also sort of unconsciously reinforces the Western influence characterization of Ishtu being depicted as an equivalent to Satan, the devil. Ishtu is way more complex than bad deity that does bad things just because. In Yoruba cosmology, he is an intercessor to Ledimir. I'm probably saying that wrong. Which devotees of all other orishas have to pay homage to. Long story short, due to mistranslation in the mid-19th century, Ishtu was translated to devil/Satan in the Christian Bible, and this has unfortunately stuck. Ishtu is quite neutral in his dealings, and though he is a trickster, he does not seek to harm anyone, Orisha or human. For more information, seek the sources I listed below. And there's more to that, but yeah, that was part which I wanted to share.
Okay, so that's interesting to me because I can kind of see the similarities, but I didn't take it so much as a devil characterization. That also could be because I was able to remove myself immediately from my monotheistic belief system, right? I believe in one God, you know, like, and I was raised Catholic, so I literally almost just went into part of Catholicism that we repeat like weekly. And I was like, okay, wait, no, like, but like, I was able to like kind of realize like this is a polytheistic belief system, right? So for me, I didn't equate it necessarily as the like devil character. And I wonder if that reviewer, I wish that reviewer would be able to, like, I could ask this reviewer if the reviewer is focusing on that because it gives this bad impression, or if the reviewer also could have considered that that was just like the creative license that Natasha Bowen took with creating the character to be able to advance the plot. Like, right, we have to have somebody who wants something as a main character, and then we have to have somebody else who is in direct opposition to that, which so I guess, and maybe that's my point of privilege of being raised in a monotheistic belief system that is prevalent in the culture and all of that, but I did not interpret it as a devil type character. I think he's a very interesting character, but like I'm excited to talk about Ishu. I am very excited to talk about him because we all know we all know I love the villains, right? But like, I mean, he wanted more power, so I can see where the similarities are and why somebody could make those similarities, but I didn't associate it with that personally, just because like as soon as it becomes a polytheistic belief system for me, that's enough of a separator. And I understand that it might not be for everybody. I understand that that may not be. And I would just love to have had a conversation with the reviewer a little bit more to say like, oh, like, is this like the author taking too much creative license? And then it's like, but can an author take too much creative license? Because, you know, we're taking these symbols of truth and we're asking what if about other situations. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like,
I was going to add, to be fair, the reviewer, it's a pretty long review and he goes into several different things, but he does say at one point later on that he doesn't think the author did this on purpose. For her story to work, she kind of needed Ishu to be a villain.
Okay.
And kind of backs her into a corner, is what he said in his review. And so, and that's why, you know, that's where I said after reading that review, I kind of had mixed feelings.
Okay.
Because I do see his point, and I can see how some people would interpret it in that way, in that sense. And I can see there are the parallels to the character of Satan with Ishu. But when I was reading it, like you, Alicia, I didn't interpret it in that way.
Okay.
So that's kind of why I'm like, I have some mixed feelings.
Right. I guess I would also enjoy seeing another review, like another couple of reviews. And if any of those other, like, own voices reviews, I should specify. Right. And if any of those other reviews also mentioned that being a concern or a point of friction, because I don't have the knowledge base to speak to it eloquently, right? It's not my culture. It's not something I understand. I can just say how I interpreted it. Right. So I would be interested if there were other own voices reviews to see if there was a common thread. Yeah. Okay, so Teresa said she gave it a 4, and she will read the second book, but that it did not necessarily wow her as much as she thought it was, or thought it would. And then Holly said she didn't see Ishu as the devil either. Okay, Teresa, what about you? Didn't either. Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't either. I saw Ishu as more of like, not this like, I just want power, like, wahaha, I'm the, like, you know, generic, like, evil character. Like, I saw him more as like, I don't want to be the middleman anymore, like being this messenger for the creator. Like, so he it was more so like, I don't want power just to be powerful. It's like, I don't want to be stuck in this middle position anymore where I don't even feel like I'm useful. Like, that's kind of how I saw it. But also them, like, the complicated part is, since I don't really understand everything related to like the deities and stuff, like, I don't really know, okay, well, how does one have, this power over another? And so it's like, maybe Ishu was like, I should be kind of seen as the same as all the other gods and goddesses out there.
Well, and they did say, so I'm almost going to push at this for a second, if you're okay with it, Heather, because I was going to say, here we go. Sorry, here we go. I'm ready. So they did say several times in the text, like, that he would stop at nothing to have more power. He would stop at nothing to have more power. So I think it started from, I don't want to be the middleman, and I feel like I'm being treated unfairly, being just the messenger. But I think it's a greedy want for power, right? It's like he wants more power because he wants more power eventually, right? Like, and like, where's the line? Like, what is enough power? And okay, I'm so glad that this comment just came up. I just got distracted by it because there is, okay, how Ishu compared to the way that Hades is often portrayed as a devil figure or villain, when in mythology he's considered more neutral as well. So I definitely got Hades Persephone vibes from the end of the book. Spoiler alert, right? So I got like some vibes, like, because okay, here we are, Land of the Dead. Simi is going to go and make the Land of the Dead her home. Okay, and that is 100% Persephone vibes to me. Like, she is going to the underworld, right? Like in our Western mythology, right? Like underworld. Like, so I can see like some like similarities in how the Western mythology definitely plays into things. But yeah, how does Ishu compare in the way that Hades is often portrayed as a devil figure or villain, when in mythology he's considered more neutral as well? I would feel like it's a very fair comparison. Like, it's like good. Like, yeah, Ishu is, I mean, he has power and he wants power, and he does some very violent things to some children. So that should also be part of the trigger warning, probably. Like, there's violence towards like children involved with the kidnapping, I would say. Would anybody disagree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's pretty
like,
fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Winter, I think that was a really nice comparison to make, because I can see that same comparison. And I don't know if Heather and Vanessa and Holly and Teresa.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I guess like that, like the initial motivation, and then it kind of got out of control. Like, I totally agree with you. It's like, yeah, I just want power now. But it's like, I don't think he, like, right out of the gate was like, I just want power, so I'm gonna like go after it.
Right. And if we pay attention to like the story that Simi has to tell to get them across the bridge, right? Like, he has always, like, he kind of registered as a Loki character to me, but that's because of the god of mischief, right? Like, it kind of came across a little bit more of a mischievous trickster Loki vibe to me, which is Norse mythology, right? So we're kind of in that, like, we're not exactly in like Western mythologies anymore. Anytime we're in a polytheistic belief system, though, I'm into that. Like, I'm into it in terms of like learning about it. I really like learning about world mythologies in general. So this, for me, like, back to Vanessa's and Heather's points, like, I don't know enough about the belief system, but I was immediately interested in a lot of the things I was seeing, because I was reading another book kind of at the same time and talking about the Mami Wata. Okay, so you reminded Teresa of Loki as well. So I kind of knew we were getting into mermaids, and I kind of had this like baseline of knowing that Mami Wata is somehow like mermaid in some African cultures, right? And it also really reminded me of, I have to think of what the title of this book is, but I read a book not too long ago, maybe last year, which I guess is a year ago, but it was, I think it's called Deep by River Solomon, and it talks about like Mami Wata again, and like the mermaids who become the creatures that like take the souls of the slave ships. Like it's a very specific like concept, I feel like the, and so I don't know if like a Mami Wata versus like any regular mermaid, it like if a Mami Wata is directly connected to the idea of slave trade, or if it's a African origin concept. Does that, or an African culture origin concept? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't think it was tied to the slave.
I don't think so.
Okay. So, okay, but so maybe just like this concept of like mermaids taking like slave trade souls home, wherever that home is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's in the author's note. She said something about that.
Okay, she might have. I haven't had a chance to read the author's note yet because I may have finished the book like an hour ago.
Okay.
Maybe that happens to me sometimes. I don't know how.
No worries. No worries. We're not alone with that.
She did base some of it off of slave trade ships, right?
Yeah.
So should we? Oh, do you want to read that?
That part of the author.
Yeah, I was just gonna say in here she says, in 2017 I began researching Black mermaids and fell instantly in love. Quickly I came across Mami Wata, Mother of Water. Commonly thought to be a single entity, the name has been applied to a number of African water spirits and deities. I chose to focus on Yemoja, often depicted as a Black woman with the tail of a fish, who is a Yoruba deity within the Ifa spiritual system and is believed to be the mother of all, giving birth to the waters of the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I can definitely see I could see some similarities in pronounced Emoja. Okay. I could see some similarities in Emoja from a Christian standpoint in terms of Mary, Mother of God, like, and just like life giving and all of those. So I could see some similarities there in terms of that. So I do agree with that reviewer in some sense that there are some similarities that like people, or parallels, maybe not even similarities, but like parallels that people could draw. But yeah, so that's very interesting to me that she based Emoja on this historical figure, for lack of a better term. So I don't want to say character, because I mean, that's not, you know, it's like, I wouldn't want somebody saying that like Jesus is a character unless it was like character of history, right? So like, you know, cultural figure, maybe better. But yeah, so that's interesting in terms of that. And like I thought the way that the that Bowen works the slave trade in, like, as this always present looming storm, almost gathering, you know, because like we get the feel like from the first time we see her rescue Cola, from the first time we see her, like, and realizing that she also lost her human life because of that, and you know, just all of those things. So I felt like that was a really well done part of this story, how it was, even though it was not related exactly to the slave trade, that's how it was affecting all the other parts of the story. It was like the catalyst for the rest of the story. And I thought that was really interesting and well done.
Yeah, I agree with that. So maybe we could talk about favorite or least favorite characters. since we kind of already, I know, or just more in-depth characters, because I know you want to talk more about Ishu.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone wants to go first or.
Well, are we also getting into spoilers now?
Yeah,
Do it. Yeah, do it. We're in. We're involved. Get it. Get it.
So, Issa, I think is how you say his name.
Yes.
One of my favorites, and I was like, it's so heartbroken when he died.
I know. I was so upset. It felt like a Dobby death to me, which was so upsetting.
Well,
like
it triggered me, and in the sense that, like, okay, so I think my the first time I read about a child character that I loved that got killed, murdered off, was in Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunter, the Mortal Instrument series. Sorry, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read that series yet. But reading that was the first time I was like, how could you do that? No. And so every time now that I read a book with a little kid that I fall in love with, I'm just like, please don't kill him. Please don't kill him. Don't kill him. And they did. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah. I was gonna say, so scared Ben was going to die. I know, but I mean, we don't know what happens after he makes it back. So I hope that we see him in the sequel quickly to, like, you know, because I mean, he was pretty injured. But I agree, Holly. I was scared that he was going to die. And that almost made Issa's death worse, right? Because like you're seeing Bem and you're like, we've already lost Yinka, we've already lost like all of these people. And then like Issa comes like on the back end of it, and like you think where everybody's in the clear, everybody else is in the clear, and Issa's not. And that was hard.
I had to reread that part again because I was like, that did not just happen. I was I was like, no, that didn't happen. No.
That's probably also part of your mixed feelings, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they called like he was like a fairy, right? Like they called it a Yumbo or something like that.
Yeah, I forget the name, but he
Yumbo.
Yumbo,
yeah.
I loved him too. But like part of me was like expecting it almost because like someone has to die, like someone dies in
right.
And so then I was like, okay, well, if it's not, I mean, I guess we wouldn't have known until the very end because like Kola almost died. But like I guess like I was sad, but I wasn't surprised when it happened.
Yeah.
Can I ask, does anyone, I don't know if I don't think I'm understanding what Teresa's saying right here.
Oh, I think this is kind of a back comment. She was saying that she was glad he got it. Like glad that he made it, Teresa, but glad that, well, agreed, but upset was, I guess I also don't understand because to beat him. I'm also glad they saved the twins. So she's glad to save the twins. Upset that Simi had to agree to stay in the land of the dead.
Yep.
And then I guess just glad that he who got what.
Yeah.
If you could clarify that, Teresa.
That's the part I didn't understand.
Bem did not die. Yinka is separated from the group, and I hope we get to see in the sequel because there is so much backstory there, and I cannot wait to know more about it. So no, yeah, I was gonna say.
You got it.
What did he get?
Yeah, got what, Teresa? Like got his comeuppance, like got bound.
Got bound.
Yes,
yes,
and she said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked Simi because like she was just kind of like this like guardian protector where, you know, she was willing to protect other people. Like she wasn't just like selfish. But you know, kind of like as we see at the end, like it's almost to a fault, which is good because that's also realistic. Like, you know, but I had like mixed feelings about her decision because I was like, okay, well, she needed to do it, but like, you know, I was actually really scared that she was gonna take Ishu up on his offer, like, hey, like I can make you mortal and you can like be with this guy that you clearly love. And she's like, oh, you saw that? Like,
Okay, all right. I'm way too invested. We got to have this part of the conversation. Okay. Love Simi's, Holly says she loves Simi's arc. The quote near the end, page 284, if there's a way for me to be human, I will find it on my own. Get it, girl. Yes. Probably with the snaps. Get it, girl. Okay. I knew from page 217, because I have it marked in my notes, page 217, that first freaking conversation that Ifado, how am I pronouncing that? Ifadio is Ishu in disguise. I have it in my notes, and I was like, I know it's him. I freaking know it's him. I know it is. And I was so right. And I knew I was right. And I knew it from that second they had that conversation, because she was saying like, but something felt off to me. And as soon as she said that, I knew. I was like, he is in disguise. He's a freaking trickster. This is him. He's here. So I didn't trust him from the get-go. And like,
I'm impressed. I never catch those things.
I knew. Vanessa, did you catch it? Because you usually also catch those kinds of things.
I usually do, but I actually did not catch this one.
Oh, Holly, Teresa, did you guys catch that? Because I have it marked. I'm like, I know this is him in disguise. I know it is. And it was, because it was something Simi said. She's like, but something still felt off to me. Something still felt off. You didn't, Holly. And then I knew it was, did you know it was Ishu in disguise when he came down into the dungeon as Kola? Because I knew it was him there too.
Yeah, I knew.
Okay, that it was suspicious because he was like, tell me where it is, and then she's like, hey, like, she was talking about his eyes, like, and,
It was the reaction that when his brother like got away from him. Yes, suspicious. Okay, so by that point, but Teresa, let us know if you picked up on it, because I was like, this MFer, and because like he started getting mean to her. He started getting just little microaggressions, like, oh, didn't you have something to say to me? He said sarcastically, and like he just was trying to cause division in their ranks. And I knew, unless his father like had some other reason, but I was like, no, I don't think that's it. Like, I knew it had to be him. So I was.
And I love how she just played with him at the end, like, oh, like, are you afraid to answer? Like, oh, do you think you can't answer my riddle? Like, you know, she's really just like goading him on. And
yep. So Teresa got it too. I did. I wrote it in my notes, especially when she said something felt off. Yep. That was the moment. I identified it too. But I loved, so I have in like on 183 and 184 talking about Ishu, like his names: trickster, guardian of crossroads of life, master of language, messenger to Olodorme, right? And I was like, this is so interesting that these are the names, that these are the things that he represents, because how often can we use language to trick other people? How often can we use language to manipulate? I mean, we all do this as writers, right? Like, and like how often, so like just like comparing language as a trick, I thought was like, and like making it one of his like synonymous names was super interesting to me. I was like, ooh, this is good. What?
I said very interesting.
Yeah, I was like, okay, like, and just like remembering, and then like when the Babalo was telling them, do not underestimate him in any capacity. Do not forget what he is. Do not underestimate him. I was like, oh, this mother. Like, I know what the problem is going to be here, and it's him. I had his number, and I was mad about it from the get-go, which, I mean, nobody here is surprised about. But I think some of my, like, favorite quotes came on, like, page 288. Like, they're, like, I have just, like, parts of that just, like, written down. Like, oh, my gosh. Like,
yeah, let's go into quotes.
Love it. I also love how, okay, there's, once again, with issue, on 266, I think it's like the top where they are where Natasha is describing Issue's throne. I thought was so interesting because let's see, let's see, where's his throne? Oh, yeah, it's at the very top of the page. The whole width of the palace, but it's empty save for a large throne in the center, carved from the darkest of mahogany wood. The chair is decorated with etchings of ravens' wings, sinuous twines of snakes, and the jaws of a coyote. And in multiple cultures, all three of those animals represent trickster gods. The coyote is a trickster god, often in some Native American cultures. The raven in Norse mythology, like the Loki. And then obviously the snakes. I mean, we can even make the snake in Christianity comparisons, right? So like, I thought that was an excellent writing technique. I was like, oh, she got it. Like, yeah, like that's exactly what a trickster god's throne would look like. That is exactly what a trickster god's throne would look like. And like, even when Simi is like describing how he got his role through that story, he got his role because he, according to this story, and who knows if the reviewer would agree with this, right? Vanessa's reviewer that she found, but he got his role by tricking the ultimate creator god, that he had convinced him that he was stealing his own fruit. Like, he was tricking. You can't steal from yourself. It's yours. Like, it's yours. So like, I think like that, playing with that idea of the trickster god is, at least to this characterization of Ishu, is very important to that character's identity. So I guess that maybe is also part of why I didn't see it as fully malevolent, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some really good quotes. Holly says, emoji to Simi on page 63. I know you'll make things right. What's done is done. We cannot change the past, only learn from it. What happens next is up to you. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I will list 2 quotes and then I have to go because I have my next shift. So if you can close it out, that'd be great. But I'll read, I actually had quite a few, but I'll read 2. One was Simi saying, the memories that come back to me are not always the type I want. Some I gladly let the sea take. And I like really liked that one a lot, because it's like, okay, she didn't have any control over, like, you know, she had to forget who she was before in her past, but then it's like, well, yeah, like, you know, some things you do want to forget. I thought that was interesting. And then obviously I have to say the classic one is, when you peel back the skin of the sea, what you will find. Because I was like, the title of the book, it's the title.
I know. I had that one too, Heather, and I was like, oh, but I was also like, ew, no.
Well, yeah, because, you know, the visual that you get from it is kind of like gross, but I liked it in that, like, it's like, this is who, like, kind of like revealing like who they really are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just like, you know, because she's saying the sea, but I saw it as like all the other characters. It's like,
right,
you know, there's layers there. And
well, and at one point too, Ishu, when he's threatening her, says, I bet you would taste like salt, or I bet you would taste like the sea. Yeah, so it's like, ooh, like that is a good motif. Like, there is some very interesting, not that I'm like wanting to promote this, but we've given this trigger warning, but like, there's some very interesting power dynamic of how he's using violence there as a threat. Like, I bet you would taste like the sea. Whoa, shoot, bro. Not good.
Yeah, it was super powerful. I'm gonna go but I'm glad I could discuss with you. This went by really fast. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I feel like we
Oh,
have a lot of stuff to discuss, but thank you.
Thank you, Heather. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Vanessa, what about you? What did you have for quotes?
Well, Holly put one up and then.
Yeah, it went up and then it went away because I asked you. There it is. Funny ones.
Send me to Cola, page 109. This is the second time you have nearly died. Are you trying to make this a habit?
Yeah, I did like that one. That was funny.
I did like that one. Actually, well, since this is a library book, I didn't really mark down much quotes, but I did have one that I shared on my Instagram yesterday.
Yes.
That I really like, and it's I don't remember what page it is, but it says, like Issue and his crossroads, it's up to the person which path they choose to take, and we've all made this choice.
Yeah, and that's somewhere, I don't know exactly where it is page-wise, but I do know it is somewhere in the range where like Yinka and Bem and maybe right before they have refound Issa are getting ready to set out on their journey to take on Ishu. So
speaking of all that, another thing I wanted to bring up, which I was like, so there was one point in here that I was really mad at Sumi, and I wanted to yell at her because
it's when she sent him away.
Yeah, she was being so hard on him. I was like, I get you don't want to put him in danger, and like, you know, it was the part. No, it was the part.
Oh, where he got attacked by the Ninky Nanka. Yeah.
And she, you know, just yelled at him and put all this blame on him, and I'm like, yeah, but he's still a kid, he's still a child, and I'm just like,
yeah. I agree. I know what you're talking about. And she was being harsh, but at the same time, I thought it was very realistic characterization because she was taken completely by surprise. This was a creature of the water. She felt like she should have known it was there. And she was getting all those like indicators from her scent. You know, she could smell the smell of rot and like mud and copper, and like she couldn't figure out what it was. So she was really scared. And I felt like that was a very, adept depiction of how adults can like, you know, put that on kids. Like when I'm scared, or you know, like it's easier to yell at somebody else than it is to be like, okay, like, and that might be my Enneagram 8 part of it, right? Like to be like, yeah, I was really scared there, right? So I thought I totally get what you're saying. She was very harsh at him, towards him, but I think that it was also
a protection.
Yeah, a protection of herself, and like she was starting to realize how like she felt about Cola, which I think also scares her too a little bit, right? Because she knows she can't engage in that. But I mean, it's not like you can help who you fall in love with. So there's that. But you know, so I could see that, and you know, they did almost die again. Oh, yeah. Holly says, breaking my heart with this one. Simi talked about Cola on page 283. I saved him, and he has saved me. Yep. Yeah.
Which, speaking of which, we didn't really talk about this. We touched on it a little bit earlier when you mentioned how, like, the romance, it didn't take over or overshadow the plot, which is good. It's a good thing, and I like. At the same time, though, however, I'm like, I don't really buy their romance.
Okay.
Because I'm like, it kind of feels insta-lovey to me. Like it feels like. So I always have issues when you have characters that develop these really deep, strong feelings in such a short amount of time of knowing someone. Like, I get that those feelings can develop over time, but in the amount of time for it to be that deep and strong, I feel like if we saw it just starting, like beginning to happen, that's one thing. But I never buy into it when it's that deep so quickly.
Yeah, so and I can see why that would be a problem, especially with this situation, because she literally saves him out of like a slave ship from the ocean, from the sharks. Like she saves him. So there's a little bit of that, like, Stockholm savior syndrome, not Stockholm syndrome, but like saviors, like falling in love with your savior kind of thing, right? Like you're in an emergency, you fall in love with your savior. But I think because their goals were always very clear, like his goal was always, I'm going to find my brother and sister. And if you're coming with me, great, but I want you there, but I need to focus on that. And I think for that for me made it more believable. And I bet this second story is going to give us a little bit more of a background, because I mean, there's no way he's just going to be like, all right, cool, great, she's going to the land of the dead. Like he obviously loves her and he's going to go after her somehow, right? And like figure it out.
Right.
So Holly says she can see a bit of that insta love, but because of how it was forbidden, I was like, oh yeah, I'm invested. So, and she's laughing. And Teresa says, quote from Simi on page 10, I hope that when I'm back in the water, I can still recall her face. Hope the sea will not erase this, even though it always does. Yeah. That was a big one too. But yeah, so Vanessa, I see what you're saying. And I think for me, it felt rushed, but at the same time it didn't, because we always had this knowledge that Simi wanted to be human again. She's the only one of the Mami Wata that spends more time in her human form. She's trying to remember her human memories. This is a link to her human side, her human self. Maybe not side, but her human self. So for me, and because Kola, like he is obviously starting to feel for her, but we get more of her feelings, right? Because it's from her point of view, and or it's like she's our main character. But I think because it just went in tandem, maybe for me, with the like knowledge that she wanted to have her human memories, that she wasn't content with what she was as a Mami Wata, that she still wanted to hold on to some parts of herself like that. And I think that for me made it okay. And I didn't feel like it was something where they were ever going to be like together necessarily too. I was like, oh yeah, she's got these feelings for him, but she is not engaging in those because she doesn't want to be seafoam yet. Like she's got a mission. So so for me it was there. And yeah, I totally get the like the intensity at the quickness of the love might have been a little much, but I think it was balanced okay, and because they were both so like purpose driven in their goals. She always had to find those rings. She could not let the Mami Wata perish forever, right? And like at the end of the day, we see her several times think about like, oh, I have to go and like break off from the group, like when she goes down and finds Oluwan, and like when like there's just several points where she almost like is always considering like, I would survive this fall, I would survive going back into the sea, the others wouldn't stand a chance. So she's protecting everybody else, but also herself a little bit too. So I'm interested. I think I'm interested to see how that feeling of like the kind of insta love or like the intensity of their feelings goes in the next book.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I can't imagine he's just like, cool, bye, thanks for giving me my brother and sister back.
Yeah.
That seems very unlikely.
Yeah, and he might even just like, I would even understand if it started off as being like him going to help her because he feels indebted to her for helping him save his brother and sister.
But I think we've also got a little bit of like, I feel like there's some of those like Prince Eric vibes to this, right? Because it is a like Little Mermaid almost kind of retelling. We're going to use that term very loosely here. But I mean, there is the classic scene in the Little Mermaid movie where Prince Eric dives in after Ariel to save her from Ursula and her wrath, right? So I'm kind of hoping that that's where we're going to trend in some of that.
Yeah.
In some of that. Teresa says, I hope we learn more about Yinka. See if she really is part hyena. There has to be something. Yeah, that idea that there are these shapeshifters, which I'm always interested in a shapeshifter story. I love that. So hopefully we'll get to see more of that for sure. We are right about in an hour right now, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Does anybody have any last thoughts they want to share? Anything we didn't talk about that you wish we would have? Anybody in the comments that says, you know, oh, I want to do this or I want to see this, what you hope for the sequel? I will say I thought on some level that Simi was going to have to take Oludan's place. I didn't think he would ask her to be a companion. I thought he would somehow have found a way to get her to switch places. Let me grab, hold on, I have the copy of the book. Hold on, I have a copy. Do you have a copy of the next book already?
Not yet. I'm supposed to pick it up from the library this weekend.
Okay, no problem. I've got mine. Hold on, let me grab it. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Here I am, back again. Okay, so yes, great discussion, everybody. Thank you so much. She thought Emoja would, Teresa says she thought Emoja would have been more in the story, which I can understand. But I think it also kind of works because Emoja is like a mom, right? And at some point you have to let your adult children make their own mistakes. So I thought that was effective, maybe.
I did also think that the beginning with her and Emoja, the whole situation with her saving Cola, I was like, well, you didn't tell her, but like, you didn't explain this to her. What did you expect? Of course, you know, eventually something like this would happen where one of them might come across someone who's not fully dead yet and want to help them, save them.
Right. And I think, like, knowing Simi, like, we get to know Simi, somebody probably should have, like, Emoja probably should have thought, like, oh, if anybody's going to break this rule, it's going to be her. Because she's the one spending her most time in her human form. Right. And, like, I don't know, like, we never see her interact with any of the other Mami Wata, really. Right. So, like, I get the feeling she's the only one, like, following these slave trade ships. Like, because she kind of makes a point of, like, when she's Mami Wata, like kind of following them and, like, knowing the trails that they're on. And that does bring up another good last point, though, for me on, like when she does finally get to speak to Uludarme and have that, like, ask for forgiveness, right? Like it was just, like, a nice feeling of peace. Like she said, wash over her, which I can see, like, that being kind of a Christian-centric viewpoint too, or, like, some influence there maybe. Because, like, I understand forgiveness in that same way. So that kind of resonated with me. But it was like, of all the good I had done, of all the good Emoja had done, like, and she does get the forgiveness that she seeks. And I think that was interesting and well done too. Right. That, like, she was seeking forgiveness, and at the end of the day, it all comes out in the wash kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see her motivation when it's not that anymore. It'll be interesting to see what her motivation is, because that was, like, a big driving factor of her personality and her character. She never runs into any other Mamawatas either. Right. So, like, like, at some point, I think Emoja should have realized, like, if anybody is going to break this rule, it's going to be the one who's human 90% of the time, or, you know, who spends time in her human form a lot. So, I think that's that. anything else you want to add, Vanessa? Anything last thoughts or?
I was just gonna say it kind of just goes to show you how like the realistic way that all of us can like when it comes to I can't think of what I'm trying to say right now. Just like the emotional aspect of all of it. How we react to things, like I was saying with Emoja and Simi in the beginning, and then later on with Simi and Issa, and how like those scenes frustrated me because from the outside looking at it, it's like, you can't really be upset. One, you didn't explain to her the consequences, so why are you getting this upset with her when you didn't fully tell her? And then with Simi later on with Issa, same thing. But it goes to show the reality of how a lot of us may react in a situation when emotions are heightened and conflict arises. It's like we're not always thinking rationally, and we lash out on others.
Right. And those crossroads happen more than we think, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because like every little decision you make is a crossroad. It's even if it's something as simple as like, what do I want for lunch? Or like, but like that's a crossroad. And we often think about crossroads as like the bigger ones. Like, am I going to take this job that pays me more money, or am I going to stay in this job where I'm happy? Like things like that, right? Or like, am I going to go on a date with this person, or am I not? Or like, but I think to your point, Vanessa, like those crossroads do happen more than maybe any of us give like the appropriate credit for. And I think that's interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great discussion. Thanks for joining us in the comments, Teresa. Hopefully we'll be able to see your lovely face again soon. And Holly, hopefully we'll be able to see you next time. So our March,
February.
This is our February book.
Yeah.
You know what? I was almost there. We'll have the discussion in March.
Yeah.
So our February book club pick is, and I'm sure you've all seen it, but it is Call Us What We Carry by Amanda Gorman. And I am just so pumped. It is fantastic. I've already read it. But I'm excited to read it again because this one I did let myself, I guess this was my last 5-star and I read this at Christmas time. But I did let myself read this and savor it only. I did not take any notes on it for like the first one because I just wanted to savor it. So, and devour it, right? So I did that, but it is Amanda Gorman's Call Us What You Carry. And for anybody that doesn't know, she was our inaugural poet and the youngest poet laureate in the country ever. And is a woman of color, of course. There's her beautiful picture. There we go. But so she is wonderful, and I waited for this book very long time, so I'm very excited that it won our book club pick, and we will be talking about it in March.
Did you do you also have the audio or not?
Oh, I do not. No, I got this as a book.
I think she reads the audio herself, so I really
okay. I don't know if I don't know that I realized that she had done that with this one. I know she had released an audio of The Hills We Climb, which was the poem that she read at the inauguration. But I didn't realize that there was like a full audio on this. So that is very exciting. And anytime you can listen to her read her poetry, I would highly recommend doing that. But there is also something to be said for looking at the way the poem plays on the page, because there are certain ones that, that's one of my favorite things about poetry, which I'm sure we'll get into, but you don't see some of the things like the way the poem is arranged and some of the ways that she uses different symbols, and like I mean, there's one that's like in the shape of a fish in the poem. Like the poem is in the shape of a fish. And you'll miss that in the audio, right? But it's once again, it's so worth it to listen to her because she's the creator and she's gonna know where the proper inflection goes on some of those words and stuff. So both if you have time, both. But thank you everybody for commenting with us. Thank you for having a great discussion with us, and we hope you enjoyed Skin of the Sea. If you did not get a chance to read it yet, let us know in the comments. The Goodreads page will be active on it, and we will see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.